This is the I Will Teach You a Language podcast, episode 152.
Welcome to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. Weekly motivation and language learning tips to help you become fluent in any language. Now, here's your host, Ollie Richards.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. If you are new here, this is your one-stop shop for language learning advice, tips, and motivation every week. So make sure to subscribe so that you get regular episodes delivered straight to your phone or wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. I've got to say, Hong Kong is amazing. I'm here right now, and you absolutely have to come. In fact, quite a few friends of mine are coming to Hong Kong over the next couple of months, which is really cool. Richard Simcott, who many of you will know, is going to be passing through here in a couple of weeks, so we're going to go and have dinner. And maybe see a few sites, which is going to be cool. So if you are going to come through Hong Kong at any point, let me know. Shoot me an email or a tweet or something, and we can meet up and go for some dim sum or something. All right, then I'd like to thank the sponsors of the show, who are iTalki. And even here, while I'm in Hong Kong, I take the occasional lesson. I'm planning to take the occasional lesson on iTalki, simply because it's so convenient. You can do it from home at a time that suits you. If you'd like to get a free lesson, you can go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/free lesson. Now, let's dive into today's question from Marco.
Hi Ollie, sono Marco dall'Italia. First of all, I would like to say thank you for your podcast, your blog, and all the stuff that you share with us. I have been studying English for 4 months, and I have started speaking with native speakers on iTalki, following everything that you teach in your speaking bootcamp course, which I think is very, very useful for a beginner, just as me, by the way, and I highly recommend it to everyone. But now, I guess it's time to dive into my question. One of the biggest things that I have noticed during my iTalki sessions is the fact that when I try to deliver a sentence, my teachers usually say that maybe the sentences are grammatically or technically correct, but they might sound a little strange, too formal or polite to a native speaker. So I was wondering if this situation is normal, if this is a common thing dealt with my current level. And obviously, I would like to understand if it is only a matter of time and repetition, or if there is something that I could do in order to begin to speak using a more common and colloquial language, because I really want to become able to express myself and all the things that I want to say in a more natural way. I was thinking, for example, that it would be useful to get closer to the British culture and stuff like that. Do you agree? In any case, thank you so much for the answer. Grazie mille, Ollie. Ciao, ciao dall'Italia. Vieni a trovarci presto.
Marco, thank you very much for a great question. Now, it was quite interesting for me when I was preparing my answer to this, actually, because I started off thinking I was going to say one thing, and then I actually changed my mind, and I'm going to talk about something completely different, which is kind of interesting. Well, I mean, first of all, I've got to say your English is fantastic. I mean, you talk about not sounding natural, but everything you said sounded really spot on to me. So, good job considering you've only been learning for 4 months. I mean, that's really, really great. So, first of all, remember to congratulate yourself for the things you have learnt. It's easy to focus on the negatives, but, you're doing a great job. So that's the first thing to say. I'm also really pleased that you enjoyed Speaking Bootcamp. It's the first course I created, actually, and it's not one that I talk about much, but it's a course that I made that's designed for you if you've been studying a language for a while, but you've never crossed the threshold of speaking. You don't speak regularly with people. Maybe you find you get too anxious or nervous or shy. Maybe you don't know where to find people to talk with. So really glad that you heard that. I'll give you more information about that later on in the show if you're interested in trying that out. But yeah, really glad that you followed that. And I think what's fantastic is that the course has worked for you because you are speaking with people, and that's the most important thing. And the real value there is that, okay, although you realize that maybe you don't speak exactly like a native speaker yet, you know that now, and you're aware of where you need to go next. And the fact that you've learned that lesson is really valuable, because now we can focus you on actually learning to speak more idiomatically, more colloquially, more casually. Okay. Now, when I start, all of the languages that I've learned, I've basically learned as an adult, and I've gone about it my way, which is kind of speaking first. That's the way that I like to do it. But your question, Marco, has made me think that actually many of us learn a language at school, and especially if you're a non-native English speaker, you will have almost certainly learnt, or at least studied English at school. And so what happens is you've got this knowledge from school. You've probably got an extensive knowledge of English, actually. But you've probably never spoken it very much. I would see this in Japan all the time. You get kids who have been studying English for years, but never actually spoke it. And so what I think you're probably experiencing, Marco, is that you've got all this knowledge in your head from school, but you're finding that in the real world, we actually speak a little bit differently from that, right? I think that's probably the case. And it's not something that I think about all that much, actually, because my approach to learning new languages has always, I don't take that academic approach. I go speaking first. And so, normally what happens is I recommend to people, find people to speak with. And obviously I recommend italki for that because it's so convenient. So start speaking with people on italki. And the reason that you do that is to build your confidence. And you get over the kind of social inhibitions, the nerves, and you just get used to speaking. And for a period of a few months, the real value in that is simply the act of speaking. And I would say to people, don't worry about speaking correctly. Don't worry about accuracy. Just talk, because just by virtue of the fact that you're speaking with people, you will learn so much stuff, and it's the most progress you'll ever make in a short space of time in a language. Now, what happens is that starts to plateau out after a while, and the effectiveness of speaking with a native speaker, that kind of casual conversation, becomes less and less and less. So that's the point where you need to simply, you need to start focusing more on detail. In teaching language, we say focus less on meaning and more on form, which means you're going to be studying more grammar. You're going to be perhaps growing your vocabulary more strategically. You're going to be analyzing your errors a little bit more, analyzing the language that you're using, doing more focused study. But all that comes after the point where you've grown your confidence. Now, in your case, Marco, it's kind of interesting because you've got a lot of knowledge there, clearly. And you are you're in this process now of kind of learning a different variety of English, which is this casual spoken English. And you asked whether it's just a question of time. And I think really it is. I could give you a long rambling, even more rambling than it already is, a long rambling answer about different things you can do. But I really think that you're going to be getting 99% of the value here just from speaking. Because you've got the knowledge, you've got the grammar, you've got the pronunciation, you've got the vocabulary, you've got all that stuff. You just need to make yourself sound more like a native speaker. And so if I was coaching you, what I would say is, look, you need to just keep going and speak as much as possible. Try to keep up these regular italki sessions. But most of all, and here's the thing, you need to be using English socially. So one thing is having these lessons, and that's great. But I would be saying to you, okay, well, do you have where can you find English speakers locally? Can you go to any language meetups? Can you make any friends? Can you, where can you find where English speaking people are hanging out in your hometown? Because the trick to really speaking a language like a native is to be using the language with native speakers socially. Not in a lesson where you're analyzing stuff and being more serious, but actually, when you can spend time with native speakers and actually see how they use the language, how they say hi, how they say goodbye, how they make offers, how they bring up new subjects, how they make jokes, all these things. Like it's in that daily interaction that you become really natural. Like I have exactly the same problem with my Cantonese right now. I've kind of learnt through lessons and textbooks and things, but I don't speak naturally. And that's why I'm in Hong Kong, because I need to spend time with native speakers in order to actually get that, understand how it's used on a daily basis. So that's what you've got to do. You've got to spend time with English speakers, watch TV, definitely, watch movies as well. Spend as much time as you can surrounded by the language, and just try to notice how language is being used. I would almost say to you, stay away from studying, because you don't need any more grammar. You've got that from school, I think. You just need to use it as much as you possibly can. The other thing you can do, with your lessons is you can do things like you can write out, the value from your teacher is going to be your teacher showing you how to become more natural. Okay. But that's kind of difficult to do in a piecemeal fashion in your lessons themselves. So the kind of thing that I like to do is writing. So I would write something out, I would write out a dialogue between two people. So for example, imagine two people talking about Italy or food or whatever. And then you write the dialogue and then you give it to your teacher and you say, okay, help me make this more natural. And they can show you how to make, which things people would say and what things people wouldn't say. And just do that. So everything you should do should either be using English to chat with people socially, or else figuring out and getting help for how you can make the things that you're saying a little bit more casual. But the most important thing here is I think it is just a matter of time. Okay. Make sure also that you're using it as much as possible. So like once or twice a week is not enough. Like I was saying to Andy in the previous episode about getting used to Chinese. It has to become a part of your lifestyle. So you need to increase the frequency that you're using English. Try and do it on a daily basis if you can somehow. All right, so I hope that's helpful for you. Sometimes this kind of advice is it can be motivating, I guess, but also not necessarily so actionable. But sometimes this advice of it's just a matter of time is the most important thing. Okay, so best of luck, Marco. Let us know how you get on. If you would like to ask me a question, you can go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/ask to do that. And at the end of every episode, I like to leave you with a resource on the topic of the show. And earlier on, Marco mentioned a course of mine, Speaking Bootcamp. And this is aimed very much at you if you're learning a language but you haven't started speaking. Because starting to speak can be very, very nerve-wracking for some people. Marco sounds like he's a very confident Italian guy and he has no problem speaking. But I know that many, many people are terrified by the prospect of actually speaking with a native in their language. I think, what happens if they laugh at me? Won't they get bored talking to me because I'm just a beginner? Well, this course that Marco mentioned, Speaking Bootcamp, is a course that I created to take you through that exact process. So we talk about conquering your fears about speaking, how to lose those nerves. We talk about how to hold those first conversations with people, where to find native speakers to talk to. It's a very comprehensive course, and it can be one of the most important breakthroughs that you make when you start speaking with people. So if you'd like to pick up a copy of that and to take your kind of move forward from the beginner level that you're at to a point where you're speaking regularly and really enjoying the language, making it part of your life, then I'd love to welcome you into the course. You can go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/bootcamp, which is BOOTCAMP. There's no fancy sales page or video or anything like that. It's just an order form. It's a very affordable course, and I think it will be really valuable for you. So that's there available if you'd like to check that out. I'll also put the link to that in the show notes, which you can find on the website under the podcast tab, or you can go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 152. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. Take care.